Welcome back to NRA Live. Enough is enough. That was Mary Carpenter's reaction when she recently learned that California state lawmakers were pushing for handgun licensing legislation, the latest in a never-ending laundry list of gun control measures aimed at regulating and restricting the rights of law-abiding citizens. Mary told us she found herself asking how many more times will innocent lives be lost because of gun laws that don't work and a criminal justice system that refuses to. Mary Carpenter has lived this tragedy, 2 of her granddaughters brutally murdered, and now she can only hope that by speaking out, she can prevent others from paying the ultimate price her family did.
This is 911. What situation to report? There's somebody in our house we don't know. Somebody's in your house that you don't know? Yes. Are they there now? Yes, they're stabbing my brother and sister with a pitchfork. They're stabbing your brother and sister with a pitchfork right now inside the house? Yes, sir, you have to be careful. He's going to kill him.
A 911 call that came too late. By the time police arrived at the Carpenter's home, 9-year-old Ashley and 7-year-old John Jr. were brutally stabbed to death by an intruder who attacked them with a pitchfork. 3 other children in the family somehow managed to escape out a back window and run to the neighbors for help because the phone line had been disconnected.
While I was trying to get open the screen, I heard a little cry, and I knew I shouldn't go investigate it, that I should go get the police first.
Headlines that stun the community, questions that still linger, and a family left to live with the what-ifs. What if one of the children could have gotten a hold of their father's firearms? They had been taught how to use them. And what if California's gun laws hadn't deprived the Carpenters of the right to defend themselves?
All the surviving girls said they thought of Dad's gun, and they knew where it was at. They knew where the bullets were, but they knew they couldn't get to it. And they all thought of it. In fact, Anna, the one that he attacked first in the bedroom, she just, you know, when he went after her little sister came across the hall and screamed at him to leave her alone. And when she did, he turned around and went after her. And she just said she just had to stand there and think, oh, my God, Dad's guns, you know. And she said, I knew I couldn't get to him. And she said it was just whirling, you know, in her mind. And the older girl thought of her dad's gun. Before she left the house, she said, oh, if I could just get Dad's gun, you know, but she knew she couldn't.
Out of reach because California gun owners are forced to keep their guns out of sight. And as Mary's son has told her time and again since the terrifying tragedy, fearing the law in the end made his children victims of that law.
Yes, he did. He says he did. He knew that he had to keep the guns properly stored according to law, or he could be in trouble. And he could have been in trouble if his daughter had got the gun with the guy in the house and shot him. He would have been in big trouble. He would automatically have been a felon if his 14-year-old could have got to his gun, or any of them could have.
An instant felon, and as Mary points out in this letter printed in her local newspaper, that wasn't the case with the man who killed her grandchildren. A stranger to them, but no stranger to the law. 27-year-old Jonathan David Bruce, arrested for drug abuse and assaulting a police officer. He was out on parole, and at the time of the murders, a warrant for his arrest had been issued.
It's really frustrating, and what makes it so frustrating is the fact that they are trying to take our weapons of defense away from us, and at the same time they're not doing anything with these criminals. This man had a mental record. He had already kidnapped his wife and held her at gunpoint back in 1997. And she had recently divorced him and remarried, and he had been leaving threatening messages on a recorder, and she knew it was him, and she took the recording down and gave it to the police department there in the city where she lives. And she said, they never called me back, they never followed up on it or anything.
Mary, does that have you shaking your head saying there's something wrong with the system?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm exasperated with the system. I have written to my legislators. Some of them are pro-gun, and then some of them are very against my guns. And I told them, I says, you know, if you create any more laws that stand between me and my self-defense, then I consider you the killer of my children, my grandchildren, that it's your fault that they're dead.
Harsh words, maybe, but the Carpenters are still trying to cope with the harsh reality that 2 of their children are gone. Lost lives they are determined won't be forgotten.
We do this for the living. You know, that's why we want to talk about it. Maybe we can prevent it from happening to someone else. I think that's what will wake people up. I really do. I feel like that gory, horrible picture needs to be painted, even if it's hard for us, It needs to be painted just like it was so they can see how that man killed them, our children, and the only means of defense would have been a gun. If it's just swept under the rug and forgotten about it, it's going to happen again.
If you could say anything to those lawmakers in California, what would it be? Or across this country after what you and your family have been through?
I have told my lawmakers, my 2 senators are women, and I told them, I said, you know, you are very strong, pro-choice. As far as the abortion issue goes, you want a woman to have the right to choose, and I said, yet in the same breath, you deny me the right to choose to defend myself with a gun. I said, give me that choice. Give me that choice.
Mary told us her family's personal crusade is now public record. A plea from the father, her son, of the children who were murdered is now in the congressional record. A horrifying account of a tragedy the Carpenters can only hope will stop the passage of more senseless gun laws in California. On that note, that's it for this edition of NRA Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ginny Simone.